Tennessee Tech, and it's called the NSF I-Core. We're officially part of the National Innovation Network. This is NSF's this is an NSF program, and we're joining this National Innovation Network as a site, what they call a site. So we are officially a site, and that puts us into gives us some opportunity. And this meeting is an informational meeting about this opportunity. I don't think this is the only time to learn about it, so please continue to share the word. But I think there's some good opportunity, and this meeting is going to be about that. Let me tell you what we're going to do. I was going to spend about 10, 15 minutes giving you an overview of this, of what the program is. Then we're going to have a short panel discussion. I've invited some people that have participated with the program in the past in some way to serve as a short panel. I've asked each of them to talk for 2 or 3 minutes max. So,
yeah,
3 minutes. 3 minutes max. So that'll be about 10 minutes of talking by us, and then we can open up for some discussion. I envision, maybe that'll be about another 20 minutes or so. And then we're going to go back to the slides, and I want to tell you how to get started. We'll answer any questions. We'll try to keep this to about 45 minutes or so. That's kind of the plans for today. Again, we're going to lead with, if you want to join, if you want to get involved, what's out there and how can you get involved as part of our I-Core program. All right. Let me start off with, I just want to introduce our team, so who you can refer to. I mean, there's actually a lot of people on the team, but to start off with, I'm Stephen Campfield, Curtis Armstrong, Sally Purdue's not here, Michael Akins, Jeff Brown, and Ismail Fadan, and several others. I guess that's a short list. You probably know most of these. Let me mention a little bit. Curtis Armstrong is coordinating the training program that we're going to have. That's class credit. It's graduate, or it's upper level to business, senior level business course that you can take for credit, or you can go through the training. Sally Purdue represents the STEM Center. Michael Akins manages, along with Scott and Terry, manages this whole space. Jeff Brown is the CEO of the Biz Foundry. Ismail and myself are in the campus. All right. So a little bit about the NSF I-Core program. It's I-Core, short for Innovation Core. I guess core is a group, a cadre. It's core, silent P, silent S. That's important if you're going to be part of this. You don't want to look like a non-conformist, but I-Cores. It's I-Core. NSF created this program. NSF has funded a lot of work in science and technology, but their customers are Congress, and Congress are us, citizens. Notice everything you do, there's a customer, if you're going to be an entrepreneur. And the customer said, well, fine, you're doing science, but why do our customers care? Why do our constituents care? And so NSF said, well, that's a good point. We're developing all the science, but how can we be more proactive to make the science that we create as university people matter? And so they developed this Innovation Core as a way to start asking the question, who would use my technology? And if they wanted to use it, what would be a channel by which they would go about making use of it? And in our capitalist system, that means probably a company. It could be for-profit or non-profit. It does not matter. But usually there's an entity that's in the process of bringing that to you. So NSF said, well, how do we take people that love technology, how do we help them learn how to take their great ideas and bring them to the betterment of society? That's the whole idea. Well, how did they do it? They went out, they found a curriculum that they liked, they invested in it, they developed it. It's called Launchpad. They created this national network, and my next picture is going to show trying to bring people together. The network consists of a couple things. Of course, there's NSF. There are nodes. These are national locations where you can go get high-level training. There's sites. These are regional locations where you can get hands-on, and then there's the individual product. So the workshops and the trainings that take place, we form into these things called teams, and the teams are a combination of people that are entrepreneurial, technical experts, and business experts, and we follow a curriculum that that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Okay, and the training takes place at nodes and sites. So we are a site, so now we're able to start offering this. Here's sort of their map right now. Now this map is about a year and a half outdated, so there are a few more nodes and sites, but basically if you look at it, there's good representation in the Northeast, West Coast. Tennessee's empty until now, so TTU I think is fitting a big hole. Down here you have Georgia Tech, which is a big contributor, but I think we're fitting a big hole, so I'm excited about that opportunity. Here's just a few stats on impact, and again, these are about a year and a half old, so this program's really marching forward, but at the time of that 366 teams, Joe, what were you like team, I was team 276, what were you like, only 300 maybe?
Yeah, around 300, just after
300, yeah. Out of these, 173 companies have been formed and are operating to some degree, follow-on grants, and then regional teams where we're fitting in kind of a cranking up number. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to take all these great ideas we have and get them out there. Okay, the curriculum. There's a couple parts to this, and we're going to describe this more, but one part is helping you have the knowledge. What is the most valuable thing I can do right now? I have an idea. What do I do next? And that's the curriculum. The curriculum is called LLP, or Lean Launchpad. So if you start seeing that notation going around, that's what that is. We're adopting that from NSF. It's Lean Launchpad. It was a curriculum paid for. The development was paid for by NSF, and it was based on Stanford's Lean Launchpad course, ENGR 245, which is a Udacity course open. You join Udacity and go through that. You can kind of see what's going on. That's the curriculum that we're adapting and using here in the NSF uses. There's added elements for commercializing technical research. So this is a big emphasis on technical, and we're a technical school, so that's a good point. Here are the founders, and then you're going to see our local founders. We'll talk a little bit more about the course later on, but the course that we have will help you fill in the blanks for really answering what are the key questions you need to know in the early stages of the startup. Okay, goals. Now, here I'm going to get a little academic. Why is NSF doing it? Well, explicitly, I told you that. They want to start commercializing, bringing to bear products that somewhat already developed. That's the short term. In the long term, they would like to see us starting to ask the question when you sit down to create something and say, hey, I've got this great idea, I want to create it. Start asking yourself right off the bat, who would care? How would somebody use this? Who would use this? Who would that person be? You think that the idea that you can actually do better research, better design if you think about the customer from day one. As engineers, we tend to think, well, first I'll create it, and then I'll go out and try it out. But there's good evidence to believe that that's maybe an inverted model. You should be developing it and thinking about your customer simultaneously, implicitly building leaders, and you guys are leaders, maybe for direction setting, operational people, actually doing the work and setting that. Sort of a challenge. That challenge that NSF issued is to broaden the minds of people that are academic. They're targeted, frankly, more at the node level, they're targeted a little more toward academic researchers. The sites level is targeted at getting it to everyone. So some of these words seem a little more on academic researchers, but I think this goes throughout. Want to accelerate the process of commercialization, and then figure out how we get private resources. That's why we have, for example, the BizFoundry Launch Tennessee is a key member of our team. Okay, and then the answer is to bring, well, there's a couple of parts of this, but to bring entrepreneurship in your lab. The idea is it probably should be something that you're doing all the time. It should be entrepreneurial. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're starting a company, but you should have entrepreneurial thinking every step of the way. It also, I don't have it on here, but the other mantra is you need to get out of the building. If all you're doing in your development is sitting behind your computer, then you're missing part of the information. In this program, we're going to create this compelling and immersive experience. You could ask the panelists if that's the case and what made it compelling, what made it immersive. The program has experts, so it's not if you go through the training, it's not somebody up front that's lecturing to you for 42 hours of course credit. It's very much you're up front and you're trying to articulate your ideas, and you have people that are giving you feedback. So it's kind of learn by doing. Relentless pace, that's sort of there is that's one of another mantra of this. Why the word relentless pace? Well, I think the idea here is that there are lots of ideas out there, and we want to figure out what ideas are good quickly, and the quickest way to do that is figure out what ideas don't work, and then move forward. So the encouragement is to don't wait to ask the question. Don't wait to ask a customer what they really need. Move forward that quickly, hold team accountable, and then a rewarding experience. And again, you can talk to the panel about that. Okay. So, I think I'm on track with my 15 minutes. Questions so far? Comments? Okay, let's go to our panel portion. So, our moderator, I'm going to now turn it over to our moderator for the panel portion. We don't have up here, I'm sorry. Our
We need a panel first.
It was the our organizer up here, Mike Lake, and if I could ask my panel, yes, we'll get 4 chairs, got 4 of us. We're going to come up and sit and be.
Oh, I've got yours.
Oh, yes, we have 5 panels. Oh, my goodness, yes. I'm sorry, this is just in time planning.
So 20% of the room is panel.
He literally knew about it about an hour ago.
Yeah, okay, my bad on that. I'm sorry, Bruce, you don't have the.
That's okay.
All right, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Obviously, this is a really big deal for Tennessee Tech. We're really excited to see such a turnout this afternoon. I'm going to assume that everybody in this room is interested in it. Now, most of you all are students, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. How many of us are undergrad and how many of us are graduate level? You can just shout. Graduate, undergrad. Okay. All right, so probably about half and half. So why did you come? Why are you interested in this?
Starting up a small business.
Okay.
And heard that it was going to be good information on how to do that and some possible resources.
Okay. Anybody else? Why are you interested? I didn't see you, and I need to give you some marketing materials. What's your name?
Joey.
Joe. All right. Nice to meet you. I'm Mike.
Nice to meet you. I'm interested because I want to be able to make my ideas a reality.
Okay.
I don't want to sit behind a desk 40 hours a week for the rest of my life and not have something to show for it. Like, I mean, I'm fine with working for a company, but I'd also like to pursue my interests.
Okay. Very good. That's you. Welcome back, by the way. Glad to see you.
I'm a graduate student, and I spend most of the time behind a computer.
Right.
I want to, make it better, like a final product.
Okay. All right. Does everybody in here feel like you're an entrepreneur of some sort or another?
Yep.
You do. Okay. Why?
Well, it's what I've done since I was a kid.
Okay.
My grandfather, even my family, have told me that it's I've got sort of a knack for it. So.
Does anybody here agree or disagree with the statement that you can be an entrepreneur but also work for a company?
I agree.
You agree? Anybody disagree? Very good. Looks like we've got some pretty good minds in here. So, I'd like to introduce our panel. Thank you, panel, for being here. So I know that you all have got a lot of questions, right? So this may or may not be confusing or kind of a detailed process. So we want to flesh all of those out. We want to make sure that you all have 100% understanding of what we're going to do. So should we have maybe quick introductions from the panel?
Maybe a 2-minute.
Yeah, let's do that. So Jeff, would you like to start us off?
So I'm the president, CEO, head janitor, all those things for the Biz Foundry. And so we're a nonprofit started by a group of 5 entrepreneurs. And we work through Launch Tennessee, if you've heard about Launch Tennessee, to address entrepreneurship and commercialization in the state. So we kind of bring we've all been there, done that, and the mentorship track, and kind of, one of the things that we all know. And so hopefully we get to bring things that you would spend a lot of time and effort on that didn't turn out too well, that we can warn you about that ahead of time. Because lean means doing away with waste, okay? It doesn't mean cutting costs, but it means that you don't work on things that nobody cares about. That's what lean means in this setting. And you don't add features and you don't add things that nobody cares about. It's what is the minimum thing that it takes. And then that leads to, once you know what your customers want, then you know what you should be building. And we've kind of all tended in our lifetime to build things, just like Steve said, and then try to figure out how to sell it. Well, doesn't it make more sense to know what they want before we start building it? I mean, that's a pretty simple question, right? And so at least we have a better idea of what they want. So we kind of we cover the whole 14 counties. We do a lot of work with the university, and I guess I'm the certified lead launchpad instructor outside of academia, which basically meant we paid Steve Blake and those guys $8 grand for me to go out there and hang around with them for 3 days. But, you know, so we use the lead launchpad or some version of it for almost all our entrepreneurial programs. If you come to one of our programs, you're going to get that business model canvas and the lead launchpad in some dose if you're dealing with us, because it's what we use for everybody.
So, yeah, I'm Piyush. I'm an alum of Tennessee Tech. I graduated with an accounting degree, and after I graduated, me and like 4 of my other friends, we started like a small business. We had this idea for like mathematical analysis, right? So teachers can basically, what's it called, quiz students as they're teaching something. It's like they can teach something and quiz them and know the answers and like know what the result was of all the students. We took that idea for like about 6 to 9 months, learned that there's a huge company out there doing this, which is based out of Australia. We didn't know them. We dropped it, started this another thing called Giga Munch, and which is basically, it connects local chefs to people who like to eat. So it's like Etsy for food, right? And I took the Lean Launchpad class, and so from like the amount of work we did for 3 months for Kipu, which was the math analytics thing, was like a week. After like, in a week we did about the same amount of work, found out like customer, found out our right product market fit and started working on it. And we launched in April, which is like in a week. I keep saying April, so I don't have to think about it. It's like less than a week.
Feel like a train coming at you.
Yeah, so yeah, it's really exciting to go out there.
And if you don't, we've done the Lean Launchpad the last 2 summers here at Tech. Steve and I and then Curtis joined us last year, and so there's a couple years under our belt. So, you know, that's where a lot of the learning came from for us, right?
So yeah.
Steve, is this my 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Joe Bernanke. I'm professor of chemical engineering here, and I've been through the Lean Launchpad activity. I have an ICAR grant that just is coming to completion now. And, you know, we developed a technology, or invented a technology based on an NSF grant that we had some years back that competed for the ICAR grant funding. Received that, I think it was 2 years ago. We're in the process of forming a small company now. Our product is our products are additives for Portland cement concrete with altogether properties. So we have an additive, our minimally viable product is an additive you put in that releases shrinkage in concrete. And I know that doesn't sound too thrilling. However, there's lots of cracked concrete around, and a lot of those cracks are due to drying-related shrinkage, and we can help mitigate that with our compounds. We also have a compound that we discovered that could increase the strength in 7 days, which turns out to be a rather big deal if you can increase the strength by 10 or 15% over the first 7 days. Contractors like that. They want to move along with construction as fast as possible. They like their concrete to develop strength as quickly as possible. So we also have that as a product right now. You know, so I wanted to talk a bit about, now that you know what our product is, talk a bit about the Lean Launchpad experience. You know, Steve did talk a little bit about it, but unless you really understand, you know, what it is that you go through, it's difficult to appreciate exactly what it's about. Effectively, you go to some site off campus for 4 days, and Steve has been through this already too. And you get intensive training, and when he said that it's relentless, I mean, I cannot tell you how little sleep we got in 4 days. I mean, there were times when we were holding meetings at 1 o'clock in the morning, no kidding. And this idea of getting out of the building, you know, for engineers and scientists, especially if you happen to be naturally introverted and a little bit of a shy person like I am, you know, I was terrified by the idea of actually walking in on people and talking to them about where their opinion is, so to speak, you know what I mean? And so it was really an eye-opening experience, and it's really changed my attitude about the whole business of business, you know? And I mean, I view my research completely differently now. I think even outside the context of my technical research life and career, I think about other things that I'm doing in a business context now, trying to think constantly about how I can capitalize on all manner of ideas, you know, that I might have, or my family might have, or whatever. So really, it's a transformational experience. I have to say in the last 10 or 20 years is probably the most significant transformational experience that I've had in terms of an educational experience. So it is really dramatic, I think, especially for people that have no business training in advance, maybe people who are a little bit shy and would just as soon be sitting at their desk, you know, to go through the experience, to learn about business, to learn about how you really have to talk to the customer. You really have to know, you know, what the customer thinks. Now, this does not mean that you don't necessarily have an idea in mind. You know, I mean, we already had a product idea in mind. We had all manner of misconceptions, I have to tell you. You know, we thought that if our product was green, that everybody would want it. And as a matter of fact, most people could care less if your product was green. They say the buck stops on your desk because you sold me the product. They don't actually care if it's green, you know? So we said our chemicals were green, they're better for the environment, we don't care. You know, so we were actually like, you know, well, now what do we do? You know, and we found one after the other fallacy that we had about our product. You know, we thought we'd be able to sell it to the departments of transportation. They don't care, right? And it's just on and on. I really didn't prepare this in advance to talk about that, but we just had one thing after the other that we thought were true about our product and why the customer would want it, and they didn't care. We even thought who would buy our product, and actually it turns out that it's a completely different market sector who was interested in our product. You know, so going through this process of talking with the customer, we ended up talking to 105 or 110 with the customers over a period of about 6 weeks, right? And I mean, and it was a baffling achievement actually to do that. I can make 100 phone calls real easy. I trying to talk to 100 people. It's not just 100 phone calls. Most of those people we saw in person. You know, so we drove somewhere. I mean, we went in Cookville. We were in Berkeley. We went in Berkeley. We didn't even know anybody in Berkeley. You know, we got a phone book or something. We went online and found all the people that, you know, might be using Portland cement concrete admixtures in Berkeley, and we just got in a car and drove and just went and showed up. And we didn't even make phone calls in advance of a lot of these. We just barged right in. You know, we went into Lowe's and asked them if they, you know, we talked to them about, you know, admixtures for concrete and all this kind of thing, and, you know, thinking that we could sell this as a product, a retail product like that, you know, selling it to individuals, homeowners. And it was truly a wild experience. So that's what you have to look forward to if you take the lean launchpad thing. I suppose that we're going to do something like that here on campus for folks. I think that probably that's my thing. So.
All right. My name's Curtis Armstrong. I'm the College of Business professor, and I had the opportunity to interact with this type program last summer. There's a popular book out called Crossing the Chasm, where it talks about the challenges of taking an innovative idea and translating it into a marketable product. And that's a challenging process, and one that's the primary goal of this program is to help innovators like yourself identify how the product that you are considering is relevant to potential market. There is a rather good curriculum that's been developed by a Stanford professor who has lots of entrepreneurial experience, and he takes you through various stages of it. You might have heard of a business plan where you have a well-documented description of what your business needs look like. That's very meaningful for ongoing businesses, but for startups, and especially brand new ideas like what you're looking at, that doesn't necessarily lend itself well to that model. And so they call it business canvas. Regardless of the terminology, it identifies those key factors that allow you to bridge that chasm between an innovative idea and a marketable product by identifying who you're going to sell it to, why they're interested, what value proposition you're giving, and why it is that you are going to be able to ultimately make money on it relative to your cost and your expected revenue. And so we do have a course that you have the opportunity to take for credit. It's Entrepreneurship 4500 is the title of the course. Brand new course we just put together and we've got approval of within the university called Innovation Entrepreneurship Lean Launchpad, where it uses this existing curriculum as the foundation for facilitating you moving across that chasm and identifying the value that you're going to bring by your product to the market and how you're going to be productive in it. And so it's there's a website that helps you in that process structure the information you gather as you go out and identify these ideas. That's a common theme that's already been mentioned multiple times here and will be mentioned several times in the curriculum, is there are no answers in this building in terms of why someone want to buy your product. You've got to get out there and talk to the customer to be able to know, and that's what you're going to be able to input on the website and then make presentations, and there is an expectation of demonstrating the knowledge you gained as you went through the program and the ability you now have of translating that innovative idea into a marketable product across that chasm. That's what we hope to do. Thank you.
Okay, I want to, I guess, two things I want to say. First of all, for everyone up here except for Payush, I think we're all very similar. When I was in your shoes, which would have been in the early 90s, maybe potentially the very late 80s, it never crossed my mind that I would do anything but go work for a company for the rest of my life. I went to school in the Northeast. GE, for example, was a premier company. You would get in and you would work your whole career. I had family members that did that. That was the concept. I, actually on the side had a little business, but I never would have, it never crossed my mind. We never talked. When I went to grad school, I started having friends that were leaving and not going into traditional business. They were starting, but we're actually starting companies. I'll tell you, you guys, I don't know how the world changes so fast, but I think, we can refer over here, but I think you're going to be in a completely different world. I don't know the statistics, but I wouldn't be surprised if you going out, 50% of you are going to probably somehow be involved with a startup over the course of your career. I think that to think that you're going to go out and just work for a company, one company for the rest of your life, it probably just doesn't happen. As an employee, you're probably going to be an employee, but as an employee, you're going to be expected to think entrepreneurially. And if you're going to start your own company, you're going to employ yourself. You're going to expect to think that way. And that's just a huge change. I had two experiences with this, but the big one was the Lean Launchpad. I had the same experience as Joe. Went into this thing thinking, hey, it's an NSF grant, more money on the table. I'll get a publication out of it. How easy could this be? And I got my backside kicked, honestly. It happened in about the first 24 hours. If you would have asked me at any point along the way, hey, isn't this fun? Isn't this great? No, I actually wanted to do a blog, but I just didn't physically have time. I thought it'd be neat to blog my experiences as a student. I got routinely chastised by the instructors because I knew the answers right. I knew my technology better than these guys, and it was just a complete learning experience to put myself on the other side of the table. I actually had the opportunity to participate again. It was odd, and then I've been an instructor one time. Together we formed this team from these many experiences we had at Tennessee Tech. We formed the team. We started the iCourse program. From that, it's really changed, just like Joe said, it changed the way that I go about thinking about what I do. Now, two things. I realize how much energy, or I say realize, I have a vague idea of how much energy it takes to start a company. So I don't walk around and say, I'm going to start a company here or there. But I have a good idea. In my mind, it's maybe you didn't engage in this, for somebody, I might dabble in this, for maybe a month or two at a time, a couple months at a time, support some people along the way. I know it takes a lot of energy, but I know very much that our economy is shifting this way. And you guys are in a position where if you can get some of this early knowledge and support, it's going to make you much better. Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much. So, questions? I'm sure we have them. Let's hear them. Who wants to start?
My question is, what is the schedule like? Is this going to be once or twice a week like a normal class? Or I heard somebody say 4 days, is that?
Well, we did 4 days because it was immersive, and so we went there and we had nothing else to do, right? And so, then we came home for, I guess, 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and we did our thing at home, and and once a week we connect online with instructors and others that were taking the course. And then we went back to Berkeley, I think for 2 days. That's how it was, right?
Yeah.
It was maybe more than two.
For them.
And the 2 days we went back was mostly reporting what we found and learned in those 6 weeks, right? So how it's going to be organized on campus, I'm not really sure. That's Steve's.
Yeah, Curtis, you want to talk about how we're planning on operating first?
For the program, it has various additional information because as we went through it last summer, we realized that there are informations that is not, or terminology and concepts that are not familiar to those in the STEM area. As an example, what's a financial statement? What's a cost-benefit analysis? Things like that. So we have content to help you with that as well. And we want to develop that this summer in a 8-week semester, meeting probably once a week and for a period of time, 3 hours, kind of range 3 or 4. I'm not sure exact number, 3 or 4 hours. And the primary focus is going to be on the students telling us what they've learned. I mean, what's been described. You go out during the week, you find out this information, you're engaged throughout the week, but you report on it as teams. Not every single week you'll do reports, but different teams make reports, identifying what did you learn about the value proposition, what did you learn about the customer segment, what did you learn about your revenue potential and the reception to the market, things like that. So that would be, and mostly, last time I was in more of the afternoon, evening, I would anticipate that we have to work on the details relative to that. And culminating in a ultimate decision as to, do I have a viable product? Is it something I want to move forward with and actually seek funds so that I can start this business or not? Go, no go kind of decision would be the ultimate decision, assessment based on your research, based on your testing of your assumptions, your hypotheses. I think this will be good for this reason. Let me go out and find out if that's true or not. Let me not just assume that's to be true.
And Piyush, if you could
Yeah,
pass a little bit.
but if you do take it like very seriously, those 6 weeks are going to be a lot of work. I remember in like the first or second week, we emailed like about, I think 150 teachers and like 2 of them replied. And we're so disappointed by it. We're just like, oh my God, like nobody replied during the summer. And then Jeff and like Steve were just like, yeah, you just got to keep going. You know, that's how it is. You just got to keep going. And we did for like another 4 weeks. And by the end, we're so much more capable of like, oh, this is our market. This is who we're selling it to. This is who's like paying us. Because everybody was so different. Because since we're selling to like government schools, so the decision maker was different. The person who pays was different. The person that's going to use our product was different. And how he's going to influence the product was different too. So you get to learn a lot about your own product that you're building through like the things that the class teaches you.
And understand, so I'm from the non-academic side of this, okay? So to answer your question, this is a lab. The class is really to get you enough information to survive the next week, the meeting, and it's really lab work. I mean, it really is, and so
Give you miles
it's
of-
tough. It's a boot camp. I mean, you're going to be pushed past limits you've not understood yet.
But here's the one thing I haven't heard yet. So we do a lot of work, right? A lot of work. But the payoff, tell us about that. What's in it for you?
The payoff was actually
Immense.
incredible. To be honest, like we knew so much more. Like now we have to do this for like EagleWorks, right? I think we did like all the things we did in a 6 week in like 2 hours. We were done with like, oh, this is our value proposition. These are our key channels. These are our customers. These are the people. But that information we found was like over the period of like 2 months. Right? We went out there every single day, just trying to find people to interview. Like, hey, are you interested in food, right? And one important thing you learn about is like how to not put your own bias in the product, right? Since you're the creator of the product, you tend to like, oh, my product's the best. You know, it's like everybody wants to use it. They teach you how to like, hey, get away from that, right? Your product is crap, right? That's how you think about it and like see if like
And you prove it differently.
Yeah. You go in with a headset of like, oh, your product's crap, but you want the other person to have like this spark. Steve Blank talks about it like, it's like, oh, that's an incredible product. Once you see somebody else do that, it's a great feeling. It's like, nice. I had that today, so I'm like, it was exciting.
So your experience was worth it. It was worth your time.
100% worth it, yeah.
If I might add to that just a bit, what I can tell you is that likely anything, if you haven't been an entrepreneur already in life, and maybe even if you have to, frankly, and you haven't been through this course, probably most of the things you think about starting a business are probably wrong. So I mean, everything that I thought about, of course, you know, I'm taking a scientist out of a laboratory and trying to turn him into an entrepreneur, saying, you know, to a scientist, well, what do you know about starting a business? Mostly they'll get it wrong. I mean, they'll fail that test miserably, let me tell you, because I would fail that test. I wouldn't fail that test miserably. Most of the things you think about starting a business are absolute fallacies in your head, you know? And what I can also say is that, you know, we have tremendous misconceptions about how it's done. You know, I wanted to comment on this thing that Chris said too about business plans being for big companies that have some sort of homeostasis, you know, some kind of equilibrium. They're in some sort of state of equilibrium. They're selling a product, right? There's an industry, there's a established market and all this kind of thing. And one thing that they will teach us is that startups are not small businesses. And you know, that's a misconception I think I had in my head early on too. A startup is a small business, but actually it's not. It's more like a baby really isn't just a small adult. You know what I mean? A baby's actually something very different. You know, you raise a child how you learn after quickly. You know, so a startup it's not really a small business. It's something different. It has to be treated very differently. So.
Startup phase is all about learning.
It's all about
Think of it
learning.
as exploring, really,
Yeah.
what you're doing.
In reality, there's a lot of very creative ideas that never seen the light of day in terms of marketplace because the innovators didn't understand these concepts. Your ability to understand how to determine what the right features are, what is the minimally viable product, what is necessary to get to your product to market and to be successful. These are things that allow you to translate a good idea into a successful venture.
So you'll get a tremendous amount out of this thing. What I should tell you too, though, is you won't be able to treat this like a traditional class. You know, traditional class is treated something like this by most students. You go to class, you wait to the day before, the homework is due, you do the homework, you hand it in, it gets graded, who cares? You know, I mean, you study the night before the exam, you do the best you can. If you're bright, you get a good grade, you know, no matter what you study or what you do. You know what I mean? This is a very, very different thing. Unless you do this thing ongoing, you really have no achievement at the end. There'll be nothing out of it.
Yeah, I think the assumption is that you want to do something.
You want to
We
do
are
this,
here
yeah.
to support you.
Right. So if you really wanted to be an entrepreneur, you know, I'm really all about the immersive thing, by the way. I love the fact that they isolated us in Berkeley. They had nothing else that
We can't afford to do that, we're really.
No, we can't, but I mean, you have to create, I think, this concept of that you're immersed in it, you know, and when you are, you know, then I think that's when it works. Because I think entrepreneurs work under in this environment of urgency. I really do. I think they're all about urgent. You know, it's why they don't comb their hair and they don't put their shoes on in the morning or something like that. You know, I mean, everything is urgent about them. You know, they're eating at their desk, and you know, there is a sense of urgency. I think when you're trying to build this.
The curriculum provides milestones that allow you to stay on pace. So at the end, you do have all that information. At the website, you'll provide that detail. We can ensure that you've provided it so that there's kind of a mechanism to keep you on pace so that you are moving towards the finish line.
You should kind of nailed it. He didn't say it the way I'm going to say it, but so even if your idea going through this summer totally flops, nobody cares, it's never going to make any money, nobody ever wants to talk about it again, that is fantastic because you learned a framework of how to do this over and over. That's what this is about, is learning the process. The framework, not really whether what you come into, because I promise you, what you come into this the first week and where you're at 3 weeks later will probably be somewhere between 180 and 270 degrees different, right? I mean, it just, you learn the process. That's the beauty of this, is that you learn how to apply it to almost anything.
What other questions do we have?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, I'm glad you asked. All right, so how do you get involved?
Call to action.
Okay, so Well, we got our little site model. There's sort of 3 stages. Team recruit. Hey, how about your PDF? Do that.
Do you have
I've got it on my computer right now. Oh, that's what, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So here's our site model. Teams come together. You get this training and supports. We're going to talk about that right now. And then stage 3, how are we going to support you? We're going to give you supports while you're going through the program. We're going to provide the training, support, and then we have supports in place after the program. That's the 3 stages. We have mentioned a couple times, not a business plan. A business plan implies you have customers, vans with your logo on it that are delivering your product. You don't have any of that. So you need something other than a business plan. The word we've coined is a business model. Eventually, it can turn into a business plan, and we'll use that. And we're gonna get you enrolled in some software that'll help you go through that process. Launchpad Central. Okay, so here are your next steps, and I've got a short list here. I guess I should just at this point jump to allow me to jump to our website. So. Your next steps. First thing to do, go online to our website, and that's what I'm doing right now. It's Tennessee Tech I-Core. Once you visit the I-Core site, there's information here you can learn about it. Okay, about that. Now, Michael, where do I go to see the flow chart?
The flow chart, actually, everybody has a hard copy. I don't have the flow chart
Oh, you don't?
just yet, but everybody in the room has a copy.
If you want to jump to your flow chart,
let us know.
Jump to your flow chart real quick. I've got the steps, but I'm sorry I'm not showing you this thing. Yeah, but the first thing you need to do at the top is identify technical innovation. Okay, and then there's 2 ways. There's sort of 2 ways that we have it online as a team. You might do that. First of all, you might have your own technical innovation, some invention, like Marshall, for example, has his own idea. He wants to move forward. Okay. The alternative could be maybe you're an entrepreneur, but frankly, you're maybe looking for some technical support that you could get. And as part of that, on our website, we're constructing a technical idea library.
It'll be there soon.
It'll be over here on the left, and we'll be continuously updating it. So that's Dr. Sanders' idea, or putting it in place. So there's going to be a library of ideas, and you can submit ideas. Let's say you've got a great idea, but you can be looking for a team or other people, or maybe you're just a serial inventor, but not really an innovator, and you've got ideas, and you're looking for innovators maybe to join your team. Okay, so you're going to post those. You're going to post them.
Don't you run the risk of losing your idea? I'm
a
paranoid inventor.
That's very good. That's very good. So right now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put these in layman's terms, so that there's no disclosure per se to begin with. So you have an overview description that doesn't reveal any of the IP. If you're a faculty member, initially I'm going to try to recruit faculty members to get their stuff. We're supposed to be disclosing. Frankly, we don't. I'm going to be encouraging us to do that. It will be the first step in disclosure. It'll be the layman's terms. If you see an idea out there, so for example, I submitted some. I've been working on robotics. I've got a couple applications I think that are really good, but I need somebody to go at. I'm looking for somebody that wants to maybe form a team and invite me to be a silent partner, with some of the technical expertise. By the way, we will talk a little bit about who owns IP, but let's say you put the idea up there. At the moment you own the IP, but as you that view that, you would then be able to go visit with that person. There's going to be contact information. Maybe that person says, before I can show you some stuff. They'll start talking, or maybe they're going to say, hey, to go forward, we got to form an NDA, and that will be done under our normal laws.
IP.
Intellectual property. I'm sorry, intellectual property. That's the intellectual property is the ownership mechanism for these things that are not ideas.
Right. So, and let me jump on that from our side of the fence, because we're the guys that get you in front of investors that can write $2 million checks. Okay? So here's the thought process. Is Kentucky Fried Chicken sells a little bit of chicken each year, but there's only 2 people have the secret recipe. You don't give everybody your secret recipe, but if you can't tell them what problem it solves and what it does without giving the secret recipe, then you really need to go through this class. Because you don't give the combination of everything that is your intellectual property. We work with 300 to 400 entrepreneurs a year. State of Tennessee overall, we do about 4,000 a year. We've been doing it for 4 years. We've yet to have an idea stolen. Okay, so that is such an urban myth that your idea, if people don't want to steal your idea, then it's not a good idea, because people will want to steal it if it has any success.
Yeah, and I might say your idea probably has more risk of just sitting there and not having anything done with it than somebody stealing it. So there is that trade-off. Anyhow, that's the first thing. The second thing you need to do is form a team. The team needs to have 3 parts. It needs to have the entrepreneurial lead. My vision is I look out and see entrepreneurs out there. Stopping about here. Okay? I see entrepreneurs out here somewhat. So that's probably undergraduate students, graduate students, maybe overactive faculty. I'm definitely not pointing myself because I'm struggling a little bit. You need a technical advisor. I'm now over here, maybe I'm seeing good technical advisors. So recruit an upper, somebody that's technically competent, a faculty member or the like. The third thing you have to have is a mentor, a business mentor. We'll help you with that if you don't have one. Our program has a model to get you hooked up with MBA students, and we also have outside business mentors. You need those 3. The entrepreneurial lead can be a single person, or it can be 3 or 4 students, okay? So you decide, but probably, if you're the one thinking, hey, I want to do that, you're probably the entrepreneurial lead, you're recruiting people, okay? That's the form of the team. Once you have that team and your technical idea, you're going to apply to a cohort. I can jump over the thing, and there's the application up there. We're doing the fine details. So right now, work on those things. Expect maybe over the course of next week, we'll get that cohort application done. Our first cohort will be launched this summer, starting with the first day of the summer session, all right? We don't have the application due date up yet. We'll probably look for about mid to latter part of April to apply. Once you apply, you'll get approved or not approved, and we'll talk, we'll have that process. You join the cohort training. Our first cohort training is going to be this summer semester. On your flow chart, you can choose to go through this training for class credit. If you do, you enroll in, you register and enroll in ENTR 4500. If not, as part, if you get approved, you can take the class. You participate in the class without that. You get class credit. You get university credit by enrolling and paying the university for that credit. Does that make sense?
What is the benefit of one versus the other? Like, I know
It's the same class.
Same class.
It's
just-
same experience, it's just the contribution it makes to your overall progression towards graduation.
So if you're in mechanical engineering, you can get one technical elective directed to a
So it'd be
student.
like an AO.
This would count as AOE. I think in most of our engineering, this would count as an AOE. Or if there was another, or business, if it was from business, I think it'll count for the land there. And then in other colleges, it's new, but we'll work with that count. If for some reason you just want a class credit, if you don't, just want the training, your approved application, you can join. So we're going to be together. Okay, you'll go through the training. That will be, right now we're planning on once a week, probably in the evening time, once a week the team will meet, you'll be outside. We've been advertising, expect 3 to 4 hours in class, 15 hours a week, commitment of 15 hours a week out of class. I think, I think that's probably 15 to 20 hours is probably a reasonable estimate. You can comment.
Yeah.
Maybe at first you're struggling a little bit, but usually during the middle, I think that's good. At the end, of course, is to push the whole thing together. At the end of that time, you have a go, no go. And that will be the question that we ask at the very end. Are you a go? Are you a no-go? In neither case are these the end of the story, but a go then means we'll put you through a path where we then start getting you follow-on supports. In no-go, we bring you into a professional learning network. You're now trained. We want to bring you back around. If you got the energy, pursue that next time. Okay.
Recognize a no-go is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a whole lot better to decide before you get started that it's going to be unsuccessful than find a year into your attempted business. So it's just as valuable. I know it's a little disappointing, but it's still just as valuable, and it doesn't affect your of what we perceive to be the success.
You want to find the no before your rich Uncle Joe loans you $50,000. Okay, let's find the no before we do that. So.
That's how rich it is, but yeah, true. Okay, what supports do you get during the program? Of course, we talked about the training. We have for each team, if you get approved, a monetary support package that boils down to, roughly speaking, maybe $3,000 of investment. I mean, that's just a rough number. that the team is getting. That can support travel, that can support development costs, and that would be over the course of the recruiting. And then there's some other things that we give you along the way with that package. Well, we're gonna kind of clean up that package and show, but you're gonna have money, you know, you're gonna have an initial investment. Basically, if you apply, you get approved, you get your first investor. And the nice thing is, it's a no obligation investment. We don't own any bit of your company. A go is the same as a no-go. You don't do anything except, you know, complete the course. Following that, we have a series of programs that we help you with. Some stuff that's here, and we'll show you places to go. You know, as a quick example, the first summer we did it, I think we had 6 teams, and 6 or 7 teams, and 2 of the teams at the end, there were people that wanted to write their checks. Last year, I can't remember, Jeff, I think we had a couple teams, you know, again, that went forward.
So we got 2 still,
2 viable teams.
2.5. How's
Yeah,
that for an
so,
answer?
you know, if you look at just the numbers on startups, those are pretty good odds. Okay, I think, panel, audience, what have we missed right now?
Steve, tell me, for these guys, how far along does their idea have to be? When we did this, we all had kind of a minimally viable product in hand already. We may have had many misconceptions about
Yeah.
it, but we had something in hand. Like, we had a product we knew would perform in concrete a certain way already. I mean, Steve, you had robots or whatever it is that you're doing that do things already. You know, we learned about that. Most of these guys will probably come with less, I would think.
You know, that is a very good point. So I think that the baseline that you need is you need this innovation, and you need to have some understanding of it. So the innovation, again, I see comes from a couple sources. Let me back up. You know, when we wrote this proposal, we thought the innovation would come from, frankly, from a potential couple sources, okay? And that's what these little, I don't like this graphic, but you got your people on, it could come from perhaps a EagleWorks activity you've been involved with, maybe a summer research program, an internship at Oak Ridge. You have something, maybe you've gone through the idea library and you've had some discussion, you've got a technical person that's on board. So you need to have some basis for that technology. Don't want you just come in, hey, we're ready to join, but we're not
We
really
probably
sure.
expect that because we're giving them an initial investment, a small investment. But if they were gadgets and widgets and things that could be made, they may be working in here, prototypes,
Sure.
right?
We would
You'd
hope
think,
that would
right?
happen.
Yeah.
And on the digital side, so here's another thing is don't think that you're a chemical engineer, so maybe your idea is a piece of software. That's perfectly fine. Now, you may not have a lot of knowledge in writing software, but the way you answer that is you recruit a team member that's a programmer with you.
But you need to come with it. You need to get that
And so, you know, it doesn't mean necessarily that only chemical engineers can do chemical engineering ideas. No, we don't put that on there, okay? We want to see good ideas no matter what realm they get. And part of it is putting the team together. Investors look for good teams. They don't look for good ideas. They look for teams that can make things happen. And so, you know, if you can put together a good team, you personally don't necessarily have to have all the expertise.
Joe, do you think that answered the question?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
I realize I swept up a lot, but I have a question about the team and then the cohorts. The teams, is that we're going to form a group within the class, or you can start a team with yourself and, like you said, outside advisors?
Yeah, good. You know, you bring up a good point. So my vision is that the flow chart that you have in front of you, you would go through that. You are an entrepreneur, you either identify, you get a team and you identify your innovation, get some good understanding of that, or you get the innovation, you start recruiting, okay? Those two things happen first. Then you apply to our cohort, or apply for our summer 2016 cohort.
Okay.
And then get in the class. Now the alternative is, at the moment it is a TTU listed class. So students can enroll in that class. I mean, we're working the budget. A student can just enroll in the class. We want to ideally have everyone in the class in a team setting of students. And so we're looking for funding that would support those teams. We'd like to push them. You know, I don't think I have a solid answer. I want to try to encourage you to go through the cohort process so you come into the class with the funding and everything in place. But we're probably gonna have students that are just gonna enroll in the class. We've gotta figure out how to organize them.
And part of the requirement of class is instructor permission, just to control who comes into the class so that they're coming in with the right expectations and intent.
Yeah, you know, probably if you're coming to if you applied and you're coming in, that's a clear process. You're in, everything's fine. If people are enrolling, we're probably gonna have a mini boot camp where they are aware. We're probably gonna have a mini a session where they then organize them. You know, they meet this bar of getting on a team, organized to have a product to go, because you can't, you know, we refuse to lecture on startups and then have you leave and then go try it. We're gonna do it the other way. You're gonna try a startup and along the way we're gonna say, oh yeah, you shouldn't have done that. That's what we're gonna do every week, okay? Right, Joe?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, good. What else?
Okay, so the question about the cohort. So we identify our problem, we form our team, we apply, we get accepted into the cohort. Is that kind of like, is that just for this summer semester we're a member of the cohort, or is this a resource where after we're done with this class and we've moved on, if we have another idea, we can come back to
Yeah,
our
you know,
group?
at the moment, I don't know that we've yet defined whether you can come back around. This is a fairly large grant. We have a fair amount of money and a pretty aggressive number of teams that we're trying to push through. That's a little unclear. I've seen at the national level, people have come back. Usually they graduate from the ones I've seen, they kind of graduate, so maybe they're an EL, they've started a company, now they come back as an advisor or something. I don't know that I'm quite ready to answer that. I think if you have a good idea, I think jump in. I would suggest you should jump in. I can't answer that second question.
We hope it's such a good idea, you start working with us for the next 6 months and we get you a few $1 million in investment, we launch a huge company.
So it's not so much a networking thing where, because like, just when I first heard the term cohort, I was thinking something along the lines of a group of people that after you come through this course, you can come back and say, hey, you know somebody that's interested in working.
Well, and that's a professional learning. You know, that's a good point. The cohort is NSF's language, so they group these groups together, and it is very much a group learning thing. So you know, you get input from instructors, but you also see what other people are doing, the mistakes they made, and the wins they made. And then we're going to join everyone together with this professional learning network, which is going to be some network that helps you along the way. So those things are there. But in terms of coming back around through the thing, you know, I think that's to be decided. Good.
And you don't really lose in touch with like your mentors, the people you get in touch with through the class, because we still regularly meet our mentor and like, you know, talk to them like, hey, this will work, you know, this is what we're doing, you know, be like, oh, this might be another way, or you know, like Jeff or like Steve, we do ever have a question, we like hop on our like email them like, hey, running into this problem, what is it?
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think you have a loose connection.
Anything else? Any others? Going once?
Who's excited? Everybody? All right. There's a contact form on the site if you need to get in contact with us. If you have any more questions, any of us are more than happy to talk to you all about it. As I guess the marketing agent, I would like for you all to challenge each and one of you all to at least find another person that may be interested in this, because we want to grow this virally. You know, some ways the best way to do that is word of mouth, and this is for students and faculty. So if you all have any ideas, if you all ever want anybody to come and speak about it, you need any marketing materials, more questions, please let us know. We want to make this available for you all.
I think we've met with students after we've done it in the last 2 years, and it is unequivocally, I think 97%, Steve, our numbers are, every student said every student should go through this.
Well,
They've had a ball. I mean, they didn't realize it until it was over. There's weeks you're not having a ball. Trust me.
I think you should go through that if you want to engage in this. Not every student.
Not every
wants
student,
to-
but everybody that's
wants
interested
to.
in this. Right. If you're interested in entrepreneurship at all, and they loved it. I mean, it's an overwhelming success for the people that have been through it. So.
Well, thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Any closing comments?
No.
Very good. We've come to the end of our session. Again, thank you so much for coming. If you have any more questions, please do let us know.